Look, I'm always excited about Thursdays because tell you, we look forward to the guests that we have. I mean, they come with personalities, they come with knowledge. So y'all not ready, but y'all have to make sure that you do your part, okay? Your part in contributing to the Black podcast. How do you do that? Sharing the video. Okay, so right now, instead of just looking at your phone and seeing that it's live, you need to make sure you press share. We need other people coming in because you never know what story someone might tell. And a lot of times we think, well, it wasn't for you. Well, it may not be for you, but it may be for someone that's in your circle. And you being selfish by not sharing the information. So please make sure you do your part in contributing to the Black podcast and the Black community, because we need to make sure that everyone is getting the knowledge they need so we can build a community as a whole. We can't do it by ourselves. Okay. So don't hold all this knowledge and all this good stuff for yourself. Okay. So make sure you do that. I am your co-host, Dr. Sherelle Hobson. And a lot of you know I'm in the educational and athletic space and been in it for 17 years or 17 plus years. And I was able to connect with this man named Mr. Street, who was working in social work and psychology. He's a psychology major. And we just saw that there were so many common challenges that we see within the Black community. And that's why we created the Black podcast, because we wanted to share more stories. But then it went further than that. How do we make a change? Well, only way to get change is to create your change, right? So we all sit around and we tell our friends how we tired of this and we tired of that, and this is not working and that's not working. But until we decide that, you know what, I feel like this is going to work, and create your own space, we're going to continue that cycle of complaining and not making any progress. So we decided that we was going to create a company called HSBA. And you know more about that, and we've talked about it before, what we do, but we change the narrative of young Black men within education. And like I said, in order for our community to grow, we must put our youth, our kids in position to be successful. And the only way we can do that is by continuing to fill ourselves with knowledge and skills so that we can pay them forward. And that's why we created this space. And so we go and we look for these guests and we find people that are just rocking in the community. And we're like, you know what? I don't care who they are and how important they are. We're going to get them on this show. And so everyone that we have on this show is relevant. Okay. So, like I said, you need to share the video and make sure you continue to share it. And you can always go back and listen to it again, but we need to make sure that every time you see that the Black podcast is up and live, you need to be doing your part in sharing these videos. But we have a special guest, and he's extremely busy. And so I don't want to waste any of his time by just talking about me, because it's not about me. It's about investing in our young men. And this young man is definitely doing his part in the Black community. And so you better make sure you're ready, because he bringing that fire. I'm telling you, his energy is off the chain. Okay. Y'all buckle up. Okay, buckle up, because he's coming and he's real. And so we need to make sure that we are sharing his story. Welcome.
Yes, what's up, Dr. Dobson? Hey, what up?
Thank you so much for just accepting the invite to be on the Black podcast. You are absolutely amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. I received that. I'm honored to be here. It's a blessing. Thank you for the invite. I don't know how you found me. It's a blessing that you did. It's not by chance. It's not a coincidence. It's on purpose. And I believe we are here for a purpose. So, I'm with it.
Absolutely. Well, again, I'm just excited that you're here and that you took the time to be here. Now, we like to make sure that we maximize our time with you, because we want to know all your business. We want to know everything that you're doing. So we need to make sure that we, start on time. And so we believe that behind every glory is a story, right? And so a lot of times we look on social media and we look at Lincoln, or we look at, whatever, and we just think, man, his life just looks like it's just Amazing. You just grew up with this perfect life, and we don't get to hear people's stories because we only see a quick little video or a quick little picture. And so I want to know more. We want to know more about you before we start talking about what you do. So let us know where you're from and also the dynamics of your family, how you grew up and what that was like.
Cool. So first generation. So I'm from Nigeria by way of Hollis, Queens, and first generation of my family to be a few things: author, entrepreneur, real estate agent, things like that. However, what what I think is pivotal to this conversation is how in Jersey City, New Jersey, my family owned property. And I could remember riding around with my father to different properties to collect rent. And I can't remember not one time where he like broke it down for me, like, hey, this is our building. These are the two apartments. This is the bodega. This is how much they pay. This is how much they pay. This is the mortgage. End of the month, we got this. Here's how much we pay for property management. The breakdown of that. And so I think back, if that would have been the case, would I have learned about real estate and the fact that Black people can own real estate sooner? I don't know. I just know I want to be the conduit or one of them where Black men are having this conversation with their young sons and nephews and cousins more frequently, and it's not a 30 years later looking back like, yeah, why you never talk to me about real estate? Why you never talk to me about investments? Why you never talk to me about legacy and stuff?
Mhm.
So for me, that's the part of my childhood growing up. Now, two-parent household, both employed, both were making 90K, 100K at a certain point, and both, went to school. I actually am the only one in my family that didn't attend Columbia University in New York. My parents went there, my sister went there, all advanced degrees. I'm the rebel of the family. I'm the black sheep, and so I cool with it. Um, and so I think for me, seeing the perfect example of what they call it, a neutral family, whatever they call it, right?
Mhm.
And still lacking in some major areas, mentorship and passing down advice. It it helped me realize that what if you don't have a father, if you don't have a mother, if you don't have both, how much worse is it starting off that you're not exposed to a lot of, right? Even the
Mhm.
fact that I was in a car when we went to go pick up rent. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what's normal to me may not be normal. What's common sense to me may not be common sense to others. And so I feel like it's my purpose to speak to the young men and show them some different things. And I always say this, like, I'm not rushing young men to be men faster. I'm letting them know these are the things that as an older brother, this is what you're gonna have to figure out. And if you can get a head start on figuring some of this out, it might help. It might help later on. So I grew up everywhere. I grew up in Nigeria. I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in Queens. And now I'm just trying to grow up, be wherever the sunshine is,
Okay.
and wherever it's 80 and up. That's my life right now.
Yes.
It's about 92 where I'm at, and I'm loving it. You might see me sweating a little bit, but it's okay. I'd
Right.
rather sweat than freeze. And
Right.
so that's I think that's the part of me growing up that was like that's pivotal to this conversation. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I do want to just kind of get a little bit deeper on something. I just want, and I'll tell you why. You spoke on, I'm the black sheep of the family, and I'm okay with that, right? Um, I really want you to kind of talk about that just a little bit, as far as you want. And the reason why is because we have so many young black men and women who feel like they have to fit in a box, right? And because they don't fit in this box, they feel like they don't belong, right? Or maybe something's wrong with me because this was what looks like normal should be, success should be. And what
Mm,
I'm trying to do is something totally damn different.
yeah,
Different.
yeah,
Everybody over here in the box is like, what you doing, right? And you
yeah.
feeling like, so that's why I do want you to kind of just dig in just a little bit deeper with the what was it that made you feel like, okay, this is not for me, but I do like this? What was that conversation like when you felt like the black sheep, and how were you able to, I guess, continue on what you felt you wanted to do? So if you can just speak a little bit on that, if you may.
I don't know what it is. It's funny that you asked that because a friend of mine has this art piece that I bought as soon as I saw it. It's a black Bart Simpson, and part of me feels like I was always a black Bart Simpson, like pushing buttons, but then like, why are you getting so upset? Like that dynamic, like I talk
Mhm.
myself into trouble and then talk myself out of trouble. And I've always been like that, so I just always felt like I'm not here to be normal, average, regular, like you know. And so I think what has allowed me to continue to be okay with being the rebel of the family is that I just knew there's a purpose for me, and not necessarily knowing what it was earlier in life. I just know that I'm here for a reason, and if I have another day on this earth, I'm not done. That's really the framework of me just being like, all right, I'm cool with being the black sheep because I know there's a different purpose in my life, right? I know that me just doing this and going here and working here for X amount of years and then retire, I just know that's not it's not gonna be for me.
Right.
Um, and even in my culture, I have family members and cousins that are super traditional, go to school, go to work, blah, blah, blah. And then I have cousins that have left college to go chase a dream, and 20 years later, you know,
Mhm.
um, magic happens. And so I think that for folks who, young people that, whoever's listening that doesn't necessarily know why they are the black sheep or feel like the rebel of the family and are not okay with it, you need to get okay with it because it means you're built for something else. If that
Yes.
you're not built for normal, you're not built for doing what everyone else in the family has done. Like Dr. Eric Thomas is the last one in his family to not attend college. Like Ti is the last one in his family to not graduate. You know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
always gonna be there's always gonna be that one person in the family that if for the Fords it was Henry Ford, right? Whatever that is, it it means that you're built for something
Big difference.
bigger than
Yeah,
what
yeah.
has been there before you. And so you gotta get okay with that so that you can get comfortable in it and walk in it so that you can figure out what that is even faster. If you keep trying
Yeah.
to fight it, it's
Yeah.
like it's you. It ain't, oh, why am I the rebel? It's for a reason. I don't know why, but there's a reason why you're the whatever and no, everyone you've always done it different. There's a reason for that. And
Right.
so you gotta embrace it. You gotta embrace who we are before we get to where we wanna be and who we wanna be.
Absolutely. Well, we could just stop the show right now and just, log off. Since you want to go live, the first the first 10 minutes in the show, since you want to be dropping nuggets like that, and then, I mean, we could stop the show right now. We could
Oh no, we got so much more to talk about. They leave us out here.
no, so I mean, I definitely get it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I feel that we have a little more than the kids today, is that we're a little more bolder when it comes to, like, back then people tell you no, you be like, I'm about to show you. Like, I'm gonna show you something
Mhm.
totally different. Get ready,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
now our kids are not necessarily built like that, right? So when you give them that little
Yeah.
bit of challenge, they kind of like, dang, man, I knew I
Yeah.
shouldn't have been doing that, or I knew I shouldn't, they just don't have that fight. And I don't know why, or maybe it's because as our parents became more successful, they gave us more resources and provided more, stuff or whatever. And we just didn't have to work. They didn't have to work as much or whatever. But
So yeah, think about it. Think
that's
about it
what
though.
it is.
Dr. Hopkins, we had to wait to watch a videotape again.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Right.
Like
You
we
don't have
had
to
to
wait for
wait
nothing now.
for it to rewind, right? We had to wait for a tape to go back to you were listening to a whole Fuji tape.
Right.
And now you want to hear it again, you got to wait. How long? You got to
Right.
wait for it to rewind. There was no skip button, right?
Yep.
Um, I think one of the reasons that might be is because these young folks are growing up in a whole different
Yes.
situation than we
Yes.
have, right?
Yes.
They have access to the same things we had access to faster.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it doesn't necessarily build the patience that we had. We had patience because we had to wait 7 days for a letter
Right.
to get to to the whoever we were sending it to. We had to wait another week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so they're growing up in a different time frame, and
Yeah.
I think it's the convenience factor that has made them be like that. And if we can just connect the fact that they have the fastest access to all this information as more than any other generation has had in the past, and show them what is being done with it and
Yeah.
that they can do it,
Yeah.
I think that,
But this is the thing about what I feel like just working in the educational system is that, as you said, that they have the same resources that we have, right? But they have so much more because now they have people that they can actually go say like, hey, there goes a black millionaire sitting right in front of me. But the problem with that is, yeah, all the resources are there, but they don't even know. That's like somebody giving you a toolbox full of tools and say, here you go.
hmm
You open up the box, you
hmm
like, man, I don't know what all this, is this one for schools or is this one
right,
for the mail?
right,
So we're giving them these resources, but we haven't told them or taught them how to use the resources that they're presented with. So, what are the questions that you do say when you meet someone who's a millionaire? What are the right questions that you ask when you want, information on a job? What are the right? We're not telling them, okay, if you want to open up a business, you got to make sure you have this, and that. And so we giving them all these resources and saying y'all have plenty of opportunities to do better. You have all these resources, but you haven't told them how to use it.
yeah,
So, how good are the resources when you don't know where to put them, where to place them, how, where to get them from, where to put them back if they don't work. And so we just made those type of things really difficult for our youth. And so
yeah,
some of them, yes, you can teach them, you can hold their hand, you can guide them, and some of them just don't get it and may come back later on or whatever. But they can't ever say they didn't have someone that provided them not only with the resources but the tools on how to use them.
yeah,
And so it's a very sensitive, it's a crazy, crazy, crazy topic. I laugh because I remember my father was in the military. He did 26 years or 27 years, something like that. And I just remember growing up and him always talking about, money. I was also like you, where, my dad would go somewhere. I'd be like, I want to go. He'd be like, come on. So I get in the car, and we driving down the street. Now, my dad, he's from New Jersey. So I was born in Newark as well. But my parents was raised there. So they are New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey. Okay. So I remember my dad being in his army uniform or whatever, and then taking his stuff off and like, hey, let's go. I'll ride with him. And we're driving down the street. And then he'll knock on the door, and we'll pull up to this big building. He'll knock on the door and he'll say, Rento. And I'm like, Rento? First of all, that's not Spanish. I know that's not Spanish. So what are you talking about, rent? And people will come
right,
out and will pay. And so I was like, and he was like, these are our apartments, and I'm like, I'm not understanding what this man talking about. These are our apartments.
mm,
And so again, just being around him. And then he opened up a car lot and I would see him fix up a car. He bought it for $500 and he fixed it up and he just sold it for $2,000 and $995. And I'm like, still understanding it, but not knowing like, man, these are some tools that he's giving me on how to flip, how to make
yep,
money, how to, make a real honest living. And he would talk to me about credit cards and he would talk to me about
mm,
credit. And I'm like, nobody in high school was talking about any of this stuff that you keep
nope,
talking to me about. And
nope,
so it wasn't until I got older and I got in college. And I remember one of my track friends, I went to her house. She was from Ghana. And she said, Joey, like, you want to order a pizza? I'll be like, yeah. So she'll order a pizza. And back then, checks, she'll write a check. We'll smash that pizza, drinks, pizza, the cheese dips, everything. And then I remember one day seeing a letter that came in her mail, and she said, I don't know what this means. And it was saying that the $5 pizza that we bought was now $35 because with no money
overdrive,
in the
yeah,
check. We just ate a $40 pizza
wow,
from Little Caesars. And
right, right,
and it was just something that she always did, and we just always ate. And I knew like, well,
yeah,
maybe And then when we got older, I remember taking her to a bank and she wanted to open up a savings account and the bank said no.
Mm.
I said, they won't let you open a savings. They won't even let you save your money. That's how bad your stuff is. And so I
Wow.
see that because now I'm just so grateful that I understand money, that I learned later on or early on that, yeah, them shoes might be cute, but if you buy them shoes, you cannot pay your bills. And so I learned very early that, hey, I don't need to impress anybody. If I can tell you right now, if
Yep.
I can afford some red bombs or not, if I can afford them, I can afford them, but I will not buy them because number one, you can't walk in them. And two, I don't want no $1,500 shoes on my feet because I know how I am about shoes. They'll be messed up. But
Yep.
a
Yep.
lot of people don't know those things. And so you
Yeah.
being able to say, this is a problem. What can I do about it? You know, it's a, I can see, I know that it's a challenge because we're taught in our community now, it's fast money.
Yeah.
They're not
Yep.
thinking about longevity, thinking like right now, I need money right now. So speak more on that, how you're able to still connect to the students or kids or your community or whoever on the importance of money, that the longevity of money, not just having money in your pocket.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I don't know if you see this. I see a YouTube comment. It says most have a
Let me
sense
see.
of entitlement. And I think
Mm, absolutely.
there's a good sense of entitlement, and then there's like a not so good sense of right. I remember a long, long time ago. This little, I'm gonna get to where I was at a conference at a Merrill Lynch Black entrepreneur, Black employees conference, right? And this brother was talking about power, and he was talking about how in the airport you'll notice, um, you'll notice like a white kid in the airport, little white kid, right, walking around the airport, saying hi to people, talking, touching stuff, and all this. The parent over there somewhere, they know their kid already. So then
Not watching them.
And so they're right. And so then you see one of our children, and as soon as you get like 2 feet away, get over here, right? And what he
Mhm.
said was the parent in that moment is teaching their child what the Bible says. The
Mhm.
earth is theirs and the fullness thereof. So the
Mhm.
parent is teaching that young white kid that they go roam, go, like go
Explore.
explore. You know what I mean? Go. This is
Be
your
you,
world.
be
The
free.
world is yours. Yeah. And we
Yeah,
are like, no, the world is not yours. Get over here, right?
yeah.
And so, to her point about entitlement, that
Yes.
that that can be a good and bad entitlement, right? You can know that, yeah, this is my world too, but I still have a responsibility to help
Yes.
someone, to add value, to donate, volunteer, give back. And then, there's that other sense of entitlement that, no, this belongs to me. I don't have to work for it. I don't got to
Right.
treasure it. I don't
Right.
care,
Give it
you
to me.
know? And so that sense of entitlement sometimes could be a bad thing, could be a good thing. But I do believe that the Bible says we are supposed to be abundant. We are supposed to be wealthy.
Absolutely.
We are supposed to be rich. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
We're not supposed to want for anything. And so I think it comes to the point of parents understanding that the goal is for your young person to do what more than what you did easier.
Yes.
Not for your young person to have to figure it out like you did.
Right.
you know,
Right.
just because you had to figure out life, you don't figured it out. Now help them out. Like, why would you make them
Exactly.
suffer and go through the same? I get it. So that balance of, oh, do I teach my kid everything or do I just let him figure stuff out for himself? It's a balance. That
Right.
money stuff. I played something on my Instagram stories today, and it's a guy. I think it's Jim Rohn, maybe talking about money, and he's like, I'm shocked that money is not taught in schools
Mhm.
when money is the one thing that's accepted worldwide, and they don't teach it in schools. You know what I mean? And that to me is a travesty, right? And then
Mhm.
when they teach it in schools, you know, I think New Jersey core curriculum standards have included it recently. And you got social studies teachers teaching about money. And it's like, wait, this don't add up. Uh, so I think that it is pertinent that if we're gonna change generational wealth, we got to teach young kids about money They got to
Yeah.
know how money works, where to put it, what happens when you put it there, what happens if you leave it there till next week, what happens if you leave it there for 50 years. They just need to know as much as possible because, they're going to be working, they're going to be getting money, they're going to be hopefully using their God given gifts to help people and make some money that way. Either way, however they do it, they need to understand about credit, leveraging money, debt, liabilities, assets, all that real estate, home ownership, and then ultimately what the Word of God says about money. Like you supposed to save some, you're supposed to give some, you're supposed to invest some,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's why I believe this wealth playbook for young men is going to be so pivotal, is because it's showing them there's not just one part of wealth. There's a lot of things that go into wealth, and here's how you figure them out. And here's like the playbook, really. So the goal is to have them initially focus on two things. One is monetizing their gifts. I teach young men, you all have a God given gift that was put in you
Mm-hmm.
before you were born. Mine
Mm-hmm.
mine just so happens to be the gift of gab. I can talk to anybody. I can talk through anything. I can, like I said, talk myself into trouble, right out of trouble, right? And so that's my gift. And so that's why I love to talk. If I could do one thing for the rest of my life, it'd be speak, talk, that's it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you all have to the young men, you all have a gift inside you that you could turn into a talent and a skill that people will pay you handsomely for because it's needed in the world,
Yeah.
right? And then because now you're using your God given gifts and you're earning money, you could take that money and put it in an investment account. The sooner the better. The minimum, the latest any young man should start an investment account is really 18. That's the latest, because then you can do it by yourself. You don't need your parents, right? Um, Take that money and invest it to create an asset that is going to be here 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40, 50, 60 years from now. And of course, going back to young men, like sometimes they don't see themselves living that long, so why save for tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe I'm going to be here. And so that's another
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's a mindset. And so we talk to them about mindset around money, showing them that there's an abundance and then everyone can have enough. There's enough for everyone to have enough.
Everyone, yes.
You get what I mean? Like there's no lack. There's definitely enough. I know it looks like only a couple people got a whole lot of it. There's still a lot more.
Yeah, yeah,
they
absolutely.
printing they're printing money every day.
Every
They
day.
they printed, I think they printed the most amount of money they've ever printed in the last 10, 20 years or something.
Hmm.
And so they just, there's more.
Yeah.
It's not a finite amount. And so the faster they learn about credit and balancing their accounts and not overdrafting and understanding that the bank only gets paid off fees and interest, um, you know, um, the sooner we teach them these things and get them into having good money habits, the better it's going to be later on for them and their family.
Absolutely. I want to, you talked, you said a lot of great things. So thank you for that. Um, you know, I think a lot of our challenges right now, is when we tell kids, and this is why, I created a Win with Why program that helps, athletes know who they are within their gift, right? And so thinking about the Black podcast, HSBA, everything is about how do we change the narrative? Well, it's them understanding who they are, right?
Yeah.
And so right now, when we talk about, you know, um, maximize on, here's your gifts. What are your gifts? They look at you like they don't even dream anymore of being anything, right? It's like, I can't be that, you know. And so they have law. I don't know what happened to that. And they do deal with a lot more, a lot of trauma that I don't feel like I seen as much when I was growing up. I mean, you heard about, crime and stuff like that. Maybe in New Jersey, of course, you saw it was more, often that you heard about it. But to this extent where you see it in a video or you hear about it constantly, and everybody's fighting and everything is just chaos. And if you go to the mall, you can get shot. If you go to the school, if you go to church, if you in your own house, and so that can also really alter, of course, someone's perception of, am I important? If every time I see that I'm not important, and you're telling me that I have a gift and I am important, well, when I turn on the news, I'm not seeing that.
Seeing the
And
opposite.
so, yeah, you see the opposite. And so I want you to speak. That's one thing. I want you to speak on just that piece of them not knowing, what are the conversations you're having when they don't know what their gifts are and who they are. So that's the first thing I want you to talk about. The second thing is we talk about education, the educational system. And like I said, I've been involved in education for 17 years, and that was always one of my biggest challenges, and still is we continue to teach the curriculum, we continue to teach this book, and it's not interesting to the kids that we want it, that it needs to get to, right? And so they're just getting in more trouble, they're not paying attention, it's not relevant, they're tired of talking about George Washington or whoever is in the book. They're tired of talking about those things because they've seen, now they have YouTube and they can see, they're like, wait, were black people the first? They're starting to ask more questions. So now they're becoming less interested in what schools are offering. But we do know the system is set up and designed for a purpose. It wasn't for us. So no, they're not going to have teach you about money in school because they're not going to make any money off of you if you go open up your own business. So they want to make sure that you need to go get a job so we can get taxes from you. We don't need you knowing that you have special gifts. We need you to pass your classes so you can graduate and we can make this $2,000 for you to sit here. Now you ain't got to open your book, but you need to sit here because as long as you're present, everybody can keep their job. Now, whether or
Mm-hmm.
not you gonna pass while you're there, it doesn't matter. But we need you sitting in these seats because we get paid. COVID or no COVID, we need everybody in here. So that's the second thing I want you to talk about. So if you can speak on those two things.
Yeah, so I mean, when I think about public education, I do think public education is created for us because it was never meant to create creative people. Public education is literally just for creating employees, decent, sometimes okay employees, right? Standardized testing is not proving anything, right? We all know these things. So, once I believe school systems got integrated in this country, they started defunding public schools. So, we were so excited about being able to go learn with them, right? That we stopped funding our schools. And so I think that was a big shift of resources and mindset. It's like, okay, now we can go learn with them, we can go shop with them, we can go live with them. Some of us, uh, so many different things that made us forget about our stuff. You know, and then to your first point about finding your gifts. I mean, like I said, I always knew that there was something that I'm here to do. I just didn't know what it was. And so for the young people, I'll give them three things that if they can find, really four things. So one, find helping them find something that they love to do, right? And for me, that's like just working with young people, right? Doing it since I was 12. That is also something that they're good at. Right now, everything we love to do, we're not necessarily good at because I love to sing, and trust me, y'all don't want me singing on this podcast at all. Okay. And then, sometimes what we're good at is not necessarily what we love to do. Right. So, but if you can find something that you love to do that you also happen to be good at, right? And then take those things and figure out how to solve some problems for somebody, anybody, right? And then the fourth thing is what can you get paid for? So if you could find the intersection of what you love to do that you're also good at, that solves a problem for enough people, right? Boom, that's your purpose. I truly believe that. So I have a book called The Student CEO, and it guides young people through those four areas and helps them think about things that they're good at, things that they love to do, things that people tell them they do well that they may not be aware of because they do it so naturally, right? And then it helps them kind of culminate, okay, out of these four lists, what one or two things can you do that fit all these four boxes or these four circles? Um, and so I love that part because you see all the oohs and the ahs on their faces. And they're like, yo, I didn't know I had that gift. Yes, that's why people keep telling you you're such a good whatever,
Right.
because that's you, that's your gift.
Yeah.
You might be great at sports, you might be good at sports, but you don't love it necessarily, right? Um, and you may love sports and you may not be good at it. So it ain't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
We
it's but
I know a lot of those people.
so I
Like,
think it's finding that intersection of those four things: what they love to do, what they're good at, what solves the problem, and what brings in money. Um, and that'll help them understand that even if you did what I did and you just got a college degree so your mom could leave you alone, it don't mean you necessarily have to do that for 30, 40 years for your career. My degree is in information technology. I promise you I have zero IT job, right? My mom wanted to see me get a college degree.
so you got
All right,
one.
mom, I'm gonna go into finance now. You know what I mean? Um, so it's pivotal though that they do understand. I think that, and even the Bible talks about that, right? So a man's gift will make room for him
We'll
and
make
put
room
him
for 'em. I
in a
say that
great
all the
man,
time.
right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
so like you find help once we help young people find their spark,
Yeah.
then we can expose them to those people that do those different things, right? Oh, you love, and sometimes it's as simple as, do you like building things? Yeah, I love building things. Oh, did you know
Hmm.
that's what an engineer does? No, I didn't know that's what an engineer does. Because we
Yep.
ask kids, oh, you want to be an engineer? I don't know what that is, homie.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that? Right? And then here's the crazy part. We ask kids fresh out of high school, sometimes 15, 16, 17 years old, to pick a major in college for the next 30 years. Like, how mean is that? That's mad mean. Like, why are we? You just came out of high school, B. You was just walking to school. And
Yes.
now we're asking you to tell us what do you want to do for the next 30, 40 years. Go.
Right. Right. And
Tell us
you're not allowed
now.
to change your mind, or you got to start over.
And then if you undecided, you paying for something you don't even know what you're paying for. And
Right.
so it's once I knew a group of 8-year-old teenage 8-year-olds that they got so mad at the ice cream man in their neighborhood for raising prices that they eventually figured out how to get their mom and dad to take them to the store, get a bunch of coolers, get a bunch of ice cream, and followed the ice cream man around their neighborhood until he got so upset that they were stealing all his customers that he stopped showing up. 8 years old. And you know what I mean? Because they're like, nah, this is.
Yeah.
And so
You're like,
sometimes it's
his
like
is $6 and ours is $4.
something's got to change. And sometimes for some of us, we have to get to that point where it's like, yo, we've been hitting our head against the wall so many
Come on.
times. Like something's got to change. If we
Right.
want something different, we got to do something different.
Right.
And if I keep doing what, unless it's working, if I keep doing what everyone in my family has done, it's not gonna get me more than what my everyone in my family has gotten.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know.
Right.
And so for me, that was part of me wanting to be different and be start a career in sales and real estate and insurance and investment and speak and write books. And I'm like, nah, I want different. I want different. I got to do different.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest one of the challenges is that people are afraid to be different, because and even with us, a lot of times is I know I have this idea and it's different, but I'm not sure it's gonna make me money. So let me wait on what I'm probably supposed to be doing because it is different, because I'm not quite sure if it's going to bring in money, but I know for sure if I do this,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get paid, right? And so a lot of
yeah,
times they're picking and choosing on, you know, right now and the bigger picture because they have stuff right now that they have to pay for. They have everything's due right now. They've been
bills.
to
Right.
the
I'm
last
here because I got it pays the bills.
yeah,
Yep.
it's got to be right now. And so I think that's another challenge they're having is just, that. And again, that comes from why we have HSBAs, because we talk about who are you? When you understand who you are, and a lot of us don't understand that until we get older, and we're still trying to figure out who we are. But I always tell the kids, God has has a purpose and a plan for your life. That means all you have to do is just continue to show up,
Yep.
because the people, the resources, the space, the challenges, everything is to get to his promise. And he has promised you a purpose. He has a plan for you. He ain't just say, hey, I got a purpose for you. I'm just going to send you out there. He's saying, not only am I going to send you out there, but I'm going to give you everything that you need to make sure that you succeed. I'm
Matter of
going to
fact,
give you all of it.
you
You
already have
already have.
everything.
You
You already
already
have
have.
it.
You
I just
already
need you to
have
go
it.
out here and use it for the betterment
Yes,
of other people's lives. And then when
absolutely.
you do that, I got you.
I got
It's
you.
going to come overflowing, running over, pressed
Yes,
down, shaking,
yes,
you know?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
so
that's
that's one
but
of,
they don't have that either. The
yeah,
they're not connected to the source of
yeah.
going to church and knowing that. So when you're talking about this God and you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
this purpose and
Mm-hmm.
this plan, they like, come on, man. I know my kids
Yeah,
always like, you always listen to church music? Because I have to stay grounded so y'all can make it, right? If I
exactly.
lose the connection, if I unplug my source and you connect it to me, we all gonna be lost in a
We
minute.
all unplugged. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just really appreciate you speaking on that, because a lot of times, especially when people are talking about money, they're not talking about God, right? They're talking about money. And so
Listen,
it's great
that's
that
what
you
was
have both.
missing. That's what's been missing in my financial career, and I didn't realize it until maybe last year or a year before that. Is like the God aspect is missing, and so with the wealth playbook workshop for young men, right? The first the W, right? We break down wealth into an acronym. W is Word of God, and young men need to know there's over 2,300 different scriptures and verses about abundance, prosperity, wealth,
Right,
money, your money, and really not our money because we're supposed to be a steward of the money, right? It's not
right.
our money. And so we start with that because let's start with the source. And what does the source say? The source says that if you give, I'll give you back, right? The source says you're not here to suffer and be in poverty, right? That's so important. That's so important. I'm even, even the financial firm I'm working with now is grounded in that too. Is like, nah, we talk about money from a God perspective, right? For me, that's important to feel good about the company I'm putting all my licenses to and working with clients on that type of basis. Is like, this is not what Chike said about money. This is what God said about money. You believe it or not.
I'm just the
Yeah,
messenger.
yeah, I'm just the messenger. I'm just the conduit, the vessel, whatever you want to call it. You know,
So I'm joining the party late, but
Brian,
what's good, man?
what's up, man? Good to meet you.
You're making me jealous, man. I used to have long hair, and it's all
Hey,
gone
don't
now.
get jealous, man. This
And
looks crazy. I can't wear hats no
right,
more. I bet you can wear a hat.
I feel you, but man, just loving the content, loving the conversation. You mentioned something along the lines of you know the mentorship capacity, as far as you being the one to be the example for that next generation. I was at University of Southern Miss from 9 this morning until 2:30 this afternoon, giving a workshop on mentorship.
Nice.
So we had a group
Yeah.
of mentors that I was training to be mentors for a group of mentees that I'm going to be training next week.
Mm,
And there was a quote by Les Brown. I don't know if Les got it from somebody else, but he said the purpose of a mentor is to take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself.
yeah.
So we have to be that example of, okay, this is how you get there. It's already inside you. It's already there. Everything that you need to be, successful, to reach the life that you desire, is inside. But you know, it was once said that you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. So you need
Mm,
someone from the outside to see, okay, like you was mentioning earlier about, do you like building? Well, that person may know that they like building, but they don't know, okay, what does me like building have to do with me getting to
right.
where I want to get to in life?
Right.
So
Right.
I used to speak at the juvenile detention center on a regular basis. And, these young guys, I would sit back and just really let them become vulnerable, because they were used to people coming in there and just talking at them, not really
Talk.
letting them have a voice. So I let them tell me, what got you in here, what you gonna do to get stay out of here when you get out of here. And some of them was talking about the drugs and everything. I'm like, you know what? you're an entrepreneur. You're a business person. All you have to do when you flip that sack for that much and then you went back, got more, like that's business principles. If you
Yeah.
just change the product, you ain't
That's
got to
it.
worry about looking over your shoulder.
Got the right
You make so
mindset.
much
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the thing is, you can't blame most of them because they're a product of their environment. So if you can help them change that environment or see something different in that environment or start to move differently within that environment, they can become a better product. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things I really aim to pour into that next generation is stop tripping over who came before you and what they were known for and how you got to follow in their footsteps. No, you as a human being have the dignity of choice. You can choose who you follow. You can choose who you emulate. And at the end of the day, when you listen to individuals like the people you see before you, Chike, when you listen to individuals like this gentleman, you see that there's more out there. It doesn't matter where you were raised, what you saw around you, choose what you want to emulate. And so much of that was what I poured into the group today, because we literally, as mentors or any type of role model that other individuals are looking up to us at any capacity, we literally hold the power on our tongue to change the trajectory of their life if we go forward and we
Yeah.
speak the truth and we
Yep.
exemplify the truth. Don't just talk about it and not be about it. Let them see you doing it, and
Yeah.
ultimately your actions will be those words. And you know what? This cat, this what's his name? Chike. Yeah, I saw him on a podcast the other day. He was talking good game. He
The
out here
Black
doing his thing.
Podcast. The Black
Black
Podcast.
pocket.
Yeah, not just a podcast, the Black Podcast, and he was talking good game, and he is out here doing his thing. So, man,
Yeah. It's about implementation because it's great to just tell them stuff and educate them and all that. But then when they ask how do I do this and we tell them go find it on Google, they're gonna pull up 9 million how to invest 9 million pages, how to start a business 9 million pages gonna come up. And so with me, I'm the focus is education and the implementation,
hmm
right? So it's both, right? It's not either or, it's both. There's people that'll just tell you what to do and then go figure it out yourself, and there's people that'll just sell you a bunch of stuff and not even educate you on why you should keep it and how to maintain it. But it's like it's both. Like let's educate them, let's expose them to things, and then they get so knowledgeable about it that they're able to explain it in their own words. Like don't you ain't gotta describe a mutual fund the way Chike describes a mutual fund. Describe it the way you see it. As long as we talking the same thing, compound interest, rule of 72, growing money over time the lazy way, cool. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what you call it. As long as your money, as long as your $50 is in there every month, I don't care what you call a mutual fund. As long as you understand why you need to have $50 in that mutual fund every month. You know what I mean?
that's real.
So it's both. Yeah.
Me being in the academic space, especially on the higher ed side, there's research, 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 and so many people do research for research sake. I'm not going to do
Mm-hmm.
research for the sake of research. I'm going to do research and I'm going to turn around and implement. Like, why am I, and, not to put
Mm-hmm.
down on anyone that's just a lifelong researcher and they want to do it for someone else to implement, but I want to implement. I want to say,
Yeah.
okay, this is how X, Y, and Z can change your life. Okay, let me show you how now. So
Yeah.
that's the
We
whole.
need both. And we need
Mhm.
both, you know?
Yeah, and I was speaking today. There's the science, and then there's the art. The science is what the studies have said was proven to work, but the art of it
Yep.
is how am I going to apply this to this community versus that
Yep.
community over there. You can have
Yep.
someone come in and train the exact same verbatim content to a class, and one of your affluent communities, and they take a complete different message than the class in the hood. So you
Yep.
want to be able to have that art of how am I going to make them understand what I'm talking about. And one cat on Wall Street Trapper, like I love the fact that he brings a different perspective to finances, and he speaks the
Mm-hmm.
language that a lot of these guys, in the hood
Mm-hmm.
can understand. And we
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to articulate it to where, regardless of if our people are in the hood or if our people are in the suburbs or wherever they are, speak their language. Don't always be on your pedestal. I'm the professional. I'm gonna tell you
Right.
in these academic terms. No, break it down so they can understand and apply.
Absolutely. Yeah. And everyone, all of us have different perspectives on different things, but I think the ultimate goal is to get young people thinking about this stuff. Now, whether they decide to believe this person or believe that person, it's their choice. But the fact that they're thinking about it and they're
Hmm.
like, oh, I like this guy's mindset. Oh no, I like the way this person explained this. And as long as they're thinking about it and they're talking about it, I think that's the most important thing. Is and I'm glad you put that up because we got to teach these young men that they need to invest early, they need to invest often, and they need to invest in themselves. The first thing, right? Because that will make the world of difference for them. Like you said, regardless of where they're from, regardless of their background. And I do believe that there are past traumas from our families that we've inherited through DNA, and maybe we don't necessarily know why we do certain things or why we don't do certain things, right? There's some of us that, oh, I'll never start a business. We don't know why, but maybe it's because somebody in their family was in Greenwood, Oklahoma, and saw what they saw, and were like, nah, that's too risky. If I build a business, they just gonna come burn it down. I'm gonna just get a job, right? We don't know that, and so it could be so many different reasons why. And I think that as long as we're out here, folks like us, pouring into the young people and letting them know, one, they have a voice, two, their voice matters, right? And three, they do have control over their lives, then that's how I believe shifts will start to change in our narrative. Because I wrote down here, change our narrative, and I don't believe black wealth will be zero. I do see, at some point, I forgot the report that said that. I do see the fact that, yeah, a few of us are always going to have a million billions. At the same time, some of us going to have negative net worth. And so if they're talking about the average, I could see that. But I still don't, I'm like, yo, black wealth being zero? Like, and so I don't receive that. And I believe that if we teach young people how to establish good money habits early on, that, all those numbers that they looked at of black wealth will change eventually. We got a ways to go though. It's going to take us double the amount of years to get out of it than it took us to get in it. We could do it though.
But we
I
got to
believe
start
that.
somewhere.
We got to start somewhere, and starting with us at 35, 40 ain't it's cool working with adults, but at the same time, we forgetting about the young people, and so that's why I believe that age 2 they need to have a Roth IRA for minors. Age 12 they need to understand how to invest in them. Maybe they need to have at least one multifamily in their name already. You know what I mean? Like if you write a book, if you do a movie, if you do music, put the royalties in your kids' names. Like we have to start thinking differently. We have to start thinking about a trust, a family trust, and then in that trust is the LLC, and the LLC owns the C corp, which actually pays the family. So it's like all these different things we have to start exposing our kids to, so that they can understand that you could either be playing checkers or you could be playing chess, and the world is playing chess, right? And we want our young people to understand how to play chess and think 4, 5, 6, 7 moves ahead versus being reactive when something happens and we try to figure it out. Nah, we've figured it out so that they don't have to, you know.
Yeah, and we got to do it like you said early. I'm so thankful that I was able to connect with my mentor because I didn't know anything about the whole financial space until I connected with him. And now
Yeah.
my son started investing on his 13th birthday. Got a
Yep.
custodial account for him and my
Yep.
daughter. And they listen to a lot of my calls and start asking me questions like, "Daddy, what was
Yep.
that when you were talking about?" And my daughter, she likes the sandwich from Starbucks, and that sandwich is dang near $5. So I told
Hmm.
her, "All right, look, I'm going to buy you some stocks in Starbucks, so you own part of Starbucks." What? Starbucks is mine now. A part of it is yours. So if you want a sandwich, I need you to ask me questions about your company, and you ask me the questions, and we have enough conversations about it. Then I go get you a sandwich, and if you
Yeah.
do what you have to do, that's mama. If
And it's important to know for her to know that when you're putting that $5 in because you're a shareholder, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that right back.
Exactly. So I told her if we let it continue to grow long enough, they're gonna give you more money than what you put in there, and then you can take their money and they just bought you a sandwich.
Yeah,
So yeah, man,
100%.
we got to teach them, and we got to have those types of conversations with them while they're young, so that when they get to our age, most of us didn't start grasping it until we were in our upper 20s, 30s
Yep.
plus. It's common knowledge, and our counterpart, quote unquote, it's in their household being discussed throughout the kid's childhood. So they automatically program it in, or it's automatically programmed to be common conversation as they go through their teen years. So we got to change the
Agreed.
narrative.
Yeah,
And one
I
more
agree.
thing that you mentioned, as far as like it's going to take a while to quote unquote catch up and decrease that gap. Um, I had a post on Instagram. It's been months ago, and it was along the lines of decreasing the wealth gap, the racial wealth gap. And a brother, a black guy, had the audacity to laugh. Ah, you crazy? You think this possible? And I'm like, dude, how can you in the public say something like that? It ain't like it's gonna change tomorrow. But if we think like you think, we will never take the steps necessary. That I don't care if it's hundreds of years, but we gotta
Condition.
start today. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
a lot of
man,
us
that
are
is so
conditioned.
sad.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
Hmm. Conditioning. There's a song called "Brown Skin Lady," and I think it's Most Def. And there's a dialogue in the beginning of that song, and one of the brothers says something like, "Oh, it's not my fault. The white man has conditioned me, right?" And he said, "I'm so conditioned. Even my conditioning is conditioned." And when we think about that, it's so many deep levels of conditioning that we gotta till more land with others than we do with some. Some young folks and some folks our age, you could just say something and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, let me go look into that." Some people you gotta like till the land a little bit before you start dropping seeds, right? Because their conditioning is so deep, and you gotta till a little bit longer just to make sure when you drop that seed, it's actually in the right soil and they're ready to receive it. And that, some people, it takes a lot longer. And a lot of us 30, 40-year olds are so disenfranchised and believe we'll never be wealthy, and the lack the mindset of lack of money versus the mindset of abundance of money, that they just believe, oh, it's too late, we ain't never gonna make it. And it's sad. And hopefully enough of us are going to show enough of the young people that this stuff is important and we need to know about it. And they'll take the torch and they running a lot faster than we were running with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And we're talking about it's when we talk about mindset and we talk about conditioned, and it's like these are conversations that we don't speak enough. I mean, our adults are not educated
Right.
on financial wealth and all that kind of stuff. But I remember speaking at this event a while back about um I forgot, it was like women in wealth or whatever. And so
Mm.
I always talk about how your wealth is your health. Your health is your wealth, right? And so we don't speak enough about that connection as well. Understanding that you are your product. So if you're going to go sell wealth and abundance and resilience and all these things, well, that's what you should look like as well. And so what I really enjoy about your content and then just your look is that they may pay attention more when they start seeing people who look like them, right? Um, and let them see that it's okay to be different. I know that, with me, when I deal with young ladies, I always tell, or young men too, but I always tell people, I said, I don't lead by example because I am the example. I'm
Mm.
the example. So if I want you to see what success looks like, then I have to look like success. If I want you to see what wealth means, I need to be able to show you what wealth means. And so I think that, we do live in that age with our kids where if we would learn to actually look like our product and look like our message, we probably can meet our kids where they're at, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a disconnect. When they look at you, they don't see themselves. They see,
Right.
okay, that's just this, I mean, when the girls see me, they think, oh, she just bougie, but they don't know this is a choice. I choose to look like this. I choose to
Right.
wake up and comb my hair and put on heels and look
Yeah.
like a woman. That's what I choose to do. And so when they start seeing something different, they will eventually do different, right? They will do
Yep.
different. But they don't
Yep.
see that. They see the person. If they do see that person, they want to be like, he's on a show that I'll probably never meet him, is what they think. So seeing somebody, but actually seeing them in front of you,
It's
having people
different.
come to the school that can actually tap you on the shoulder or even call you on the phone is different. It's going to have a more of an impact when we that are here right now doing the work make ourselves visible to these youths and show them what success can look like, what wealth looks like, what you can look like when you're 40. Who said that
Hmm.
you have to look like this? Who said you have to look like that? Who
Right.
said because you believe in God you got to wear a dress down to your ankles? Nobody's.
Hmm.
And so we have to show them something different if we want them to know different. So speak on how you were able to make that connection when you're talking to the youth about, investment. Do you feel like your image helps in certain situations, or do you feel like the message can get lost? So let's say you go speak at a predominantly white school versus a predominantly black school. Do you feel like there's ever any challenges that come with the delivery of your message, or how do you go about your audience when you're speaking to the youth about this?
I mean, I'm always 100% me, so I can't let the color of the audience change how I deliver me. I'm very animated, if you could believe that. I'm very energetic. I'm in their face, like, what's up? Ah, I'm like, good morning. They're like, good morning. I'm like, good morning, I said. Like I'm like a little different. So I'm gonna get their attention. And what I realize is if they have an attention span like me, it'll be a little bit shorter. And so I try to make sure that I am engaging, and I say and do things to make them think for themselves, to let them know that this is not a talk, this is a dialogue. I'm here, but I'm talking with y'all, I'm not talking to y'all, I'm not talking at y'all. And for me, it's being relevant, so relating what Brian said about Starbucks and your sandwich, right? So you love Nike. Okay, so Nike costs $180. That's two shares. Why don't you just buy two shares and be an owner instead of being a consumer? Like relating it to something that they actually understand, right? I talk about, they know what a single family house is, even if they don't live in one. They know what a multi-family house is, even if they don't live in one. They know what an apartment building is, even if they don't live in one. And letting them know they can own all three of them. But what makes more sense to own? The apartment building or the 4 unit versus the single family. Or you buy the four family, then you buy the apartment building and let those pay for the single family. But they understand what that is if you relate it to them the right way. And I think that's the key is we're not relating like, yeah, 2 plus 2 is 4, but how's that going to help me out here in the street? How's that going to help me in real life? Like, I don't know the last time I was in trouble and I needed to use the quadratic equation in my life. I don't know about y'all, but like, I don't know, the
We never
Pythagorean
used it,
theorem,
never used
whatever it's called. I don't know the last time I had to use that to get out of
never,
an
never
adult
used that
situation,
either.
right? And so, because I'm not an engineer, I'm not, I'm not building nothing like that where I need to know the angles and you know, nah, leave that to the people. That's not my gift. Okay, that's not my gift. And so it's it's making sure that it's real, it's relevant to them, to whatever audience we're in front of, right? Whether it's a group of young men with 4.0s, it's a group of young men with ankle bracelets on. It's the same information that they both need, and hopefully we're in a position to say, hey, this ain't all I got. Reach out to me. Here's my email. Here's my phone number. Ask me questions. I know I'm here for one day or maybe a week, but I'm here. And if you need me, here's my phone number. Here's my contact information. I tell them, follow me on social media. And if, as long as you ain't got no nonsense on your page, I follow you back. You know what I mean? So,
So,
being relational with them and letting them know that you want to help, you want to be there for them. I think that's key too, because people will come and be there one time and then never see them again, but then they don't even have their contact information. Like, hey,
Yeah.
remember that one guy, Chike? Yeah, he was dope, but did he leave his contact info? Nah, he ain't tell us how to reach him.
Right.
Oh, he whack.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? So
Right.
I think that's all part of it and making it real and relevant.
Wow. Yeah. I have this problem. I always watch these first 48 hours and all these documentaries about, especially about young Black men and how they end up getting in the system. And it's what's sad is a lot of times they have to be forced into a box, literally, to be able to start using their brain, right? Because yesterday I was watching a show and it was like a mix of women and men in this prison, and it was like 9 floors or whatever. And so the women are like at floors like 5 through 9, and then the men were like 4 and below. And so these two people built this relationship by the toilet, right? They started communicating through the toilet. So they would knock a certain amount of times and they would know, whatever it's called, the noise traveling down, and she would know he's trying to contact her through the toilet. So they knew you had to dig out all the water from the toilet, and they would stack the toilet paper in the cups up, and they would use it as a microphone to pass, to start speaking down to the bottom. And
Mm.
so I'm like, it's just crazy that we have to be forced into this little box in order for, them to start wanting to branch out and use their mind. And so that's the great thing about having someone like you, with your program and HSBA, because we're able to give them the tools that they need in order to be successful. So if you can just kind of let us know what events you have coming up, where they can find your book. Brian, are you
Yeah,
able to type this stuff in? Are
yeah,
you
yeah.
okay? So so let us know where we can find you, where they can find your
Okay.
book, and
So
so we can get it.
so my website is everything. It's chikeuzoka.com. ChikeUzoka.com. They can find my book, the workshops, and all that. I guess two things I'll highlight. One is I'm working with World of Money and Sabrina Lamb. And so we have a summer financial institute starting on June 6th. It's going to be virtual and in person for young kids, I believe, age like 6 and up, 6 to 18. And on the 18th of June, there's a Born Rich Summit, Born Rich Summit for men, talking about manhood, fatherhood, financial strategies, and building generational wealth. I would love for folks to be on that, so they can reach out to me for the information. And my email is simply chike@chikeuzoka.com. And then I'm working with the Black Wall Streeters and a brother named Kevon Chisholm, and we're doing a conference out in Detroit in about a month, June 17th. I'm super excited about that and working with the young people. And so yeah, they could email me at chike@chikeuzoka.com. And they can reach me at Chike Uzoka on all the stuff, LinkedIn, Facebook, at Chike_Uzoka on Instagram. Um, and I'm pretty accessible.
Okay, well, that's awesome. That's it's good to know you're doing all that stuff, because now I know who I need to call when I need to borrow a couple of dollars. This good.
Ah, hey, I'm blessed. My pastor told me I'm blessed to be a blessing.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much for just being you and continuing to do the things that you're doing. And just know that we are now family. So you will be getting an email from us. Welcome to the Black Podcast
yeah.
family.
Woo, woo, woo.
Lifetime membership. So we're going to make sure we connect with you. And please make sure you look out for our email. We'll be connecting very soon. And again, keep doing what you do, because you
Yes,
do
thank
it
you.
well.
Did y'all take a picture of us? Did y'all take like a screenshot or something? Can we get a
Oh,
picture?
we got plenty of video
Oh,
recording.
okay.
Look,
Okay.
we got
Cool. Cool. Awesome.
we got you.
Yes, so check your inbox shortly,
Okay.
and you'll see the link to the YouTube videos for you, and you can pass it on. So we love you. We thank you. Continue
Thank
doing
you,
what you're
y'all.
doing. Be safe, and we are connecting. I ain't gonna say we will
Yes.
be. We will be connecting very
Yes.
soon. So
I
thank you
appreciate
again.
y'all.
God bless you. And
Thank you so much for
yeah,
having me. I'll talk to y'all soon.
absolutely. Thank you.
All right.